Hello, welcome back to another video. I wanted to talk to you about the box model today. We've tippy-toed around it and we've had a bit of a chat about it before. The box model as defined by the standard says that it's basically all the terms around what we have as elements. So all elements in HTML can be considered boxes. In CSS, the term box model is used when we're talking about design and layout, so all the items around the box. If that doesn't make sense, it's okay. We're going to spend some time on it. This is what a box model is. It says that in the middle of all of this is some content, whether this is text or an image. Outside of the content is some padding. Outside of the padding is a border, and outside of the border is a margin. And all of these things we can manipulate and change within CSS. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a go at that. All right. In here, I'm going to first say I want to have an image tag. So I'm going to say in my HTML I want to have an image. I'm going to tell it that I have a location of that image somewhere, which I don't have yet. And then it will try and magically show that image. Now if I put a location that doesn't exist, such as, this awesome JPEG, then it will just say, look, I can't find that awesome JPEG, and it shows me this broken image box there. One of the things that I can do over here is I can style some things around the image by saying image and then putting in some squiggly brackets and doing some stuff. And in this sense I could say, look, your width is going to be 300 pixels, and therefore this temporary box becomes 300 pixels, mostly because you're pre-allocating the space and you're saying, look, before you load this actual image, I want you to reserve this much space on the page, and so it does that for you. But anyway, we'll come back to this in a moment. Now, one other thing I wanted to do before we do that is to set the body, which is basically the whole background, the background color here to be black. Just so that it's a little bit like that, because I want to use a white border. You'll see what I'm doing. I'm going to find a picture here of an awesome cat. So I had a bit of a Google, and here's what came up, right? I hope you love him too. I fell in love straight away. This is the location of that image. So I had a look on Google and basically found that there was this image on Google that came up. So I'm going to grab that whole location. I'm going to go back into my code, and you can put whatever image you find on the internet in here and paste that in. And so it's going to go to this HTTPS to that image location, find that specific JPEG here and display it. Now if you can see, we can't see the kitten because it's a little bit too big. So we go back to our trick that we just learned before. We put img, width is 200 pixels, and now we have our picture of the kitten in there. Now what we want to do is mess around with the box model. So if you remember, the box model said that there was some content. Check, we've got that. Then there's some padding, there's a border, and there's margins. I'm going to start with the border, just because if we do the border first, it'll make a little bit more sense. So I'll break this down into the next line. Put this down here. Put a little squiggly, a semicolon here, and then I'm going to say border, colon. Let's make it solid white and 10 pixels in size. And there's this nice little Polaroid finish on our kitten image. Now, what we've done is we've basically just told it to draw a solid rather than a dashed line, because we don't want a dashed line around the whole thing. And we also told it to be white, but we could just as easily say yellow or some other color that you might prefer. And then we could also change this 10 to a 1, and it would be a nice thin border. We could also change it to 100, but that'll be just too big. So I'm just going to leave it at 10 so we can keep going. On the next line, I'm going to do one other thing, and this is where I'm going to leave it off so that you can all kind of play around with this experiment, find a picture, do these steps, and see how you go. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some padding in here of 20 pixels. And you should be able to see this black gap between the white border and the image. So the background is coming through there. So if I change the background to something like blue, you'll see that it's actually just the background coming through. So the padding that isn't actually black or anything like that, but what it does is it pushes that out. Now to contrast that, I just want to show you one other thing we can do, which is margin. If I change the margin, the image stays where it was, but it's now pushed out by the margin 20 pixels all the way around. Just to demonstrate that, I'll take it out, goes back into the corner, and then we put it back, and there's your margin back in there. Again, you don't need this space between the colon and that, but I just put it in there for readability. And you don't need a semicolon on the last element, but it's usually a good form to put it in there, so that way when you just go and enter another thing such as padding, it won't cause you any issues. But again, don't need it for it to work, and if you get rid of it, it will all still work beautifully. That's it for today. Enjoy the rest of your day, and definitely keep tuning in and let me know what else we want to work on. I've got a list that I'm working through, so definitely keen to just keep going. But as always, write me, let me know if it's all working, if it's making sense, or if you want us to go into more detail around something. So thanks again for tuning in, and see you guys next time.